1916 Curtiss V4. Very few were made. There's only one other example in the Smithsonian Institution. This is the only running example there is. So it's an extremely rare engine. It raced in the 1919 Gold Cup race and won with Garwood driving. So it's a very, very famous engine. Yesterday we ran this motor. 100 years later, it ran again. And it was a very fulfilling thing to see something so old out running in the water. We don't know the exact horsepower of this engine. Nobody was dynoing things back then, and we didn't dyno it when we overhauled it. But we suspect it's somewhere around 400 horsepower. It originally was designed at 300 horsepower, but Garwood modified this engine. He turned the cylinders around, made 4 carburetors for it with new manifolds, and changed the camshaft timing so all that would work, and came up with this engine. And it was very successful, but not successful enough compared to a Packard Liberty. A Liberty was much more reliable and a better engine. So this kind of got shelved after 1919. We suspect it had not run since 1919. Inside the engine, when I tore it apart, it still had all the original components in it from when it was built in 1916. All the original components are back in it. Bearings, cam, rods, pistons. The only thing I replaced was the rings on the pistons were no good. When I disassembled the engine, I found a cigar in one of the cylinders, which was kind of comical. And it had been there for probably 80 or 90 years, that cigar. How it got in there, I don't know. I suspect down one of the tubes, the valve was open, the cigar fell in, and there it stayed. We did the restoration in 2012 on the motor, and I was real anxious one evening, and I had pretty much everything on it in order to make it run, but I didn't have an oil tank hooked up, and I didn't, it was just barely ready to run. And I thought, oh, I got to hear it do something. So the little primer cups, I just put a little dot of gas in every one of the primer cups and hooked a battery card up to it, and I just touched it, it lit off, and it's like it was saying, I want to run again. And it was so fascinating to see that bark off like that. And I mean, I had it in my build room, which is a small room, and it scared the heck out of me because it really came to life. And I wasn't expecting that. As soon as I touched that switch, it was running. So it was an engine that really wanted to come back to life. It had sat for so many years, and it was really, really a fascinating thing. Everything on the engine is historically correct. 99% of it is original. There's a few replacement parts here and there that we made, but it's all pretty much original. So it's really a fascinating piece for history.